evening, everyone. Wonderful to see you. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to Ahavat Shalom. Great to be back after a week away from leading services. Many thanks to Paula Rosoff right there for leading alongside Allison and Joy. I heard the services were quite wonderful. So Toda Rabbah, thank you so much. Of course, many of us today on the second anniversary of the January 6th insurrection are thinking about the Capitol, and many of us might have watched some of the awards being given out to the heroes of the day by President Biden, and we keep all of them in our hearts, as well as families who sadly lost lives during that day. But we commend all of the heroes that kept democracy going strong, as it needs to each and every day as we enter the year 2023. We're going to begin our Shabbat prayers, first with introductions. I'm Rabbi Matt, Allison Rosoff right beside me, and Joy Katzen-Guthrie on the piano tickling the ivories. We'll begin with the voice of the psalmist, and on page 10, you'll find the words to Hine Matov. I also invite you, if you'd like to pick up the Siddur, the prayer book in front of you, and I'll be giving page numbers throughout from Mishkan Tefillah, dwelling place of prayer. So let's sing How Good It Is together. Tovu manayim, sheverakim gam yachad. Hine matovu manayim, sheverakim gam yachad. Hine matovu manayim, sheverakim gam yachad. Tovu manayim, sheverachim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim, sheverachim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim, sheverachim gam yachad. Tovu manayim, sheverachim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim, sheverachim gam yachad. Please join us as we sing Debbie Friedman's Light These Lights. Light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say Amen. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say Amen. You'll find the bracha, blessing for lighting the Twin Candles of Shabbat on page 2. Continue with a classic Kabbalat Shabbat poem, Lecha Dodi, Come My Beloved, that you'll find on the screen as well as on pages 20 and 21. We'll be singing verses 1, 2, 5, and we'll rise when we get to our final verse as we ask the Shabbat bride to come in peace, Bo'i v'Shalom. That's verse 9. Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, ishmi'anu el hameyuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad. Shemel tiferet v'letila, lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nilcha, ki himchor haberacha, merosh mikedem nisucha, sof maaseh bad machshavat tchila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoriri, ki va'orek u'mihuri, uri shir deberi, kivod Adonai alayik nigla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. We rise to face one of the doorways, greeting the bride. Bo'i v'Shalom ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'v'tola, toch emunei am segula. Bo'i chala Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala,
Shabbat
nekabela. Feel free to be seated. We'll continue on 26, making our way to Shema and its blessings by chanting the half or Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitkadav, Yitkadash, Shmei Rabbah, Mi'amad Yivarach Yutei, V'yamlich Machutei, B'chayechon uvyomechon, Uv'chayech kol Beit Yisrael, V'agalav Yismakariv, V'yimeru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevorach, Le'olam U'lamei Amayah, Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar V'yiroman V'yitnasei, V'yitador V'yitaleh V'yitalal, Shmei Dekodesha, B'richu, Le'ela U'le'ela, Min kol birchata v'shirata, Tu b'shvata v'nechemata, Damiran Beyama Iru. Amen.
Let's rise now for our call to prayer. Words of the Baruch that you'll find on page 28. Join me on 31, a prayer for the evening, Ma'ariv Aravim. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Aravim. And on 33, words of love. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us, and the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works in the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Israel will sing Jeff Klepper's Open Up Our Eyes.
Open up our eyes, teach us how to live, fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to give. Gather us in peace as you lead us to your name, and we will know that you are one. Open up our eyes. Teach us how to live.
Teach us how to live.
Fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to give. Gather us in peace as you lead us to your name, and we will know that you are one, and we will know that you are one. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Vaed.
Feel free to be seated. We'll continue chanting the words of the Shema, you shall love Adonai your God. You'll find the words on page 36. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavcha hayom alevavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha bebetecha uvlechtecha b'derech u'shokbecha uvkumecha ukshartam le'ot ayadecha v'hayu letotapot bein einecha uktavtam amizuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru vasitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem. Let's continue together on page 39 as we prepare ourselves to sing the words of Frida Mi Chamocha. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we are taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land. The winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness. There is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. continue on 42, a prayer of protection, the words of Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom Le'amideinu Shomreinu Lechaim Hashkivenu Adonai Haporei Sukkot Shalom Aleinu v'yakomo Yisrael
Now for our standing prayers, the words of the Tefillah, which begin on page 46 and continue on even pages.
Adonai sifatai tiftachu fi agidai latecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanorah Elion Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot U'Mevig Ula Lifnei V'neihem Lema'an Shemo Be'ava Melech Ozer Moshiach Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah, atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Hakol, atah Rav L'Hoshia, Mashiva Ruach, Marina Gashem, Mechacheh Chaim Bechesed, Mechayei Hakol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Novim Verofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umechayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'al Gevuros, Umidol Melach, Melech Memid Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'emanat Halech HaChayot HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei HaKol.
Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yalucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Feel free to be seated. We'll continue with the Emsaot, the blessings in the middle of the Tefillah. First, for the holiness of Shabbat, our weekly time of Simcha, of joy. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. And a prayer on 56, asking that God's presence always remain with us wherever we live, wherever we are. Baruch atah Adonai HaMachazir Shechinato L'Tzion. And hopefully many of us had things to celebrate and be grateful for during the new year. And for all these things and more, we offer prayers of Hoda'ah, of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai Hatov Shimcha Uchana'eh Lechodot. And for our time of meditation, we'll listen to Allison sing Cantor Jeff Klepper's Shalom Rav, found on page 60.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol
Let's offer a prayer of healing now. You'll find the words to Misha Berach, God the One who blesses those in need, on page 253. So we think of the following individuals in our community and beyond for strength, courage, and healing. Jacqueline Alban, Yonatan Ruben Ben Rivka, Charlie Burke, Babs Brown, Tim Berneman, Manuel Cruz, Harry Fleisch, John Friedman, Denise Freifeld, Mitchell Freifeld, Sidel Freifeld, Arnold Miller, Melissa Miller, William Miller, Michael Ranzino, Rabbi Avram Reifer, Gary Rosenberg, Hal Rosenberg, Stephanie Ross, Dennis Schulman, Jeff Stark, and Sophia Young. If there are names that you'd like to add for healing, please feel free to do so.
My father, George Stark. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say,
A fantasy delivered right to your door in a pastel-colored box. It talks about change. It wants you to start something when you should be in the middle of it. It thinks time is on its side, and it needs a new outfit before it can begin. So what does this sound like to you? Beginning of a mystery or fantasy novel? A voiceover for Tiffany and Company, known for their special blue signature packaging? Or is it something else entirely? As it turns out, this riddle is part of a recent social media campaign for a luxurious fitness club called Equinox. And it serves as a rebuke to the New Year, New Me resolutions. Voted the best gym in America by Fitness Magazine, Equinox bills itself as, and I quote, a temple of well-being, featuring world-class personal trainers, group fitness classes, and spas. And you can get all of this and more starting at $200 a month, or in its more expensive locations, $300 to $500 a month, not mentioning the $500 initiation fee. But mind you, this gym goes to 11 because the towels in every single locker room are scented with lemon eucalyptus blend. Sounds really cool. Of the 41% of Americans who make New Year's resolution, a scant 10% of them will stick to their goals by the end of the year. Many won't even make it past January. According to experts who crunch these types of numbers, January 17th is the day when many budding cyclists, runners, and fitness enthusiasts will move on from their newfound athletic pursuits. Now, I, for one, never get too caught up in making New Year's resolutions. And of course, I'm a rabbi, so I spend way more time preparing for the Jewish New Year, what with 6 sermons to write and an entire month called Elul that our tradition dedicates to introspection before a single Yom Tov or holiday candle is lit on the evening of Rosh Hashanah. But this ad from Equinox goes much further. And it's more than just philosophical, because they put their money where their mouth is. They flatly refused to allow a single person to join their fitness club 5 days ago on January 1st. That's right, a one-day moratorium on new memberships. Needless to say, the marketers at Equinox aren't impressed with people who want to get a head start on their fitness resolutions, or as they very bluntly put it, if you're not in the middle of your journey, go find another club. In all honesty, I've really got to hand it to them. The chutzpahdik that's being shown here is quite impressive. That's the Yiddish word for extreme self-confidence or audacity. On the other hand, as Tanner Garrity writes, Equinox is obviously full of beep. And why? Because the gym went right back to selling brand new memberships on January 2nd. So I think they're going to continue to do quite well, at least for some time. Who knows what was in the marketing executives' heads when they put pen to paper on this social media campaign? Maybe they wanted to make people angry and rile them up, or at least lean into the pressure that so many people put on themselves this time of year. Whatever the case, Equinox received enough online attention to even get some biologists to give their take on the matter, with one researcher posting, January 1st needn't be just another day. Rather, our brain can segment time in many ways, and only some are constrained by biology. Designating a calendar date for a starting place to achieve behavioral and or psychological change is entirely legitimate. If you want to make a change, set it and get it. And to that I say, amen. This week, Jewish communities around the world continue to learn about an individual who resolved to make changes in his life, and he stuck with them. We're talking about biblical Joseph. In this final Torah portion of the book of Genesis, called Vayechi, meaning "and Jacob lived," we reach a climax in the relationship between Joseph and his 11 brothers. By this time, Joseph had learned to rule in Egypt. He had learned to please the Pharaoh, and he had also learned to move skillfully among priests as well as princes. He had already spoken very brusquely earlier to his brothers when they first came down to Egypt looking for them to feed their families due to the famine in the land of Israel. Yet it's said that after that very meeting, Joseph needed to turn away and he wept. But the greatness of Joseph is that he was unwilling to use his brothers as pawns or as tools, which is likely why the poet Ruth Bryn writes, "Remember Joseph when you plan to use a person as a tool. Remember Joseph when you seek dominion over others, like the sheaves and stars of Joseph's dreams. And pray God that you remember to let every person be to you as a lost brother." For Joseph and his brothers, reconciliation was the order of the day. After many, many years in Egypt, their father Jacob finally dies, and the brothers travel together back to Israel to the cave of Machpelah, the burial site of earlier matriarchs and patriarchs. Still, the brothers were very fearful that Joseph would finally punish them for their actions so long ago, throwing Joseph, as we recall, into the pit in a pick of anger. However, Joseph assures his brothers that they have earned his forgiveness, and once again tells them that all of this was part of God's plan, not only to save their family, but to save the Israelites as well. The Joseph left by his brothers decades ago to be sold into slavery was arrogant. It revealed a person with an exaggerated sense of self. And it was egged on by a father who clearly favored him, feeding into Joseph's ego with a coat of many colors, a visual reminder of his favoritism. Yet the Joseph we read about in this week's Torah portion reveals a person changed, someone who was wizened by life's events and fully aware of his role as a leader and someone who influences others. Rather than seeking vengeance, Joseph chose to keep his heart open. Rather than picking a fight, Joseph chose to forgive and reconcile with his brothers. Rather than using hurtful words, Joseph chose to use words of healing. These actions as a whole reveal a person who has grown in spirit and in stature. And in a time of great need, upon learning about the death of their father, Joseph took the opportunity to comfort his brothers and spoke directly to their hearts. Now, if I ventured to make a guess, Joseph's change of heart probably wasn't the thing of New Year's resolutions. It likely didn't start on January 1st, and he certainly didn't go back to his chutzpahdik ways on January 17th, or as some people call it, quitting day. Most likely because the Gregorian calendar wasn't even invented then. But simply put, change like this takes time. Many of us have heard of the proverbial wisdom, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. But as one congregant texted me yesterday, he said, you can teach a dog new tricks, you just have to offer tasty treats. And this insight, he continued, dispels the long-held belief that getting older leads to broad declines in our mental function. Rather, he shares, the results from a large research study indicate that mental abilities can actually improve for many people as they age, because we practice, learn skills throughout our lives. In other words, our capacity to grow and change evolves over time, as we see in the case of Joseph, whom our tradition calls an ish sadiq, a righteous person. As the book of Genesis draws to a close, we learn that Joseph died at the age of 110 years old, buried in a coffin in Egypt. It's worthy to note that Joseph is the only one among his 11 other brothers whose length of life was actually recorded. Jewish sages, among others, have wondered why this is the case. One tradition tells us that Joseph's longevity is noted to emphasize that he left this world with a shem tov. That's the Hebrew phrase meaning a good name or a good reputation. To my mind, Joseph earned this praise. Despite the obvious trauma, the twists and turns of his long and fruitful life, he showed an almost unbelievable level of forgiveness with his brothers. So much so that the Torah finds it necessary to state, just a few verses before his death is recorded, that his name and reputation are held in the greatest esteem. It's not so easy to be a peacemaker, particularly when it involves letting go of resentment. But Joseph somehow resolved to do it. And by once again uniting himself with his brothers, together they fulfilled Jacob's dying wish of achieving peace within the family, a cherished Jewish value called Shalom Bayit, peace in the home. For all those who have made New Year's resolutions in the past week, I wish you Godspeed. May you achieve your goals and grow because of them. This reminds me of another tradition. At the end of each book of the Torah, it's customary to either say or chant 3 Hebrew words which speak to the wellspring of knowledge that is our Torah, tree of life, and our ability to make changes and grow over time. I'm going to sing them, and I'll ask you to sing them right back at me. Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. This means be strong, and we will strengthen one another. This year, may this surely come to pass. Kein Yehi Ratzon and Shabbat Shalom. We're going to continue with the words of Aleinu, the Adoration, which you can find on page 282. Please rise as the ark is opened.
משפחת האדמה שלא שם חלקנו כהם וגורלנו ככל המונם ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר היה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
Could be seated. You'll find the words of Mourner's Kaddish, words of praise, on page 294. As we call to mind and to heart individuals and families in the period of Shloshim, the first 30 days mourning their loved one, as we remember fondly Paul Vexler, brother-in-law of Phoebe Tave, Catherine McKay, friend of Brad and Sue Fischelo, and friend of Lynn Rosenthal. And we now mark the yahrzeit anniversary of passing of loved ones. On this Shabbat, we remember Harold Aaron, Phyllis Almond, Hannah Baker, David Bauer, Bernard Berkowitz, Ruth Berkowitz, Lena Bierman, Jean Birnbaum, Heidi Blaine, Rose Block, David Brevoort, Ethel Cohen, Adrian Curiel, Burton Cutler, Bert Den Bregen, Sally Epstein, Michael Fave, Mary Fine, Aaron Flatsbaum, Sheila Friedman, Jamie Gamler, Frida Granoff, Bernie Grant, Andrew Holloway, Larry Irwin, Lois Kander, Paul Kelton, Logan Kushner, Louis Lang, Alan Lieberman, Arthur Lieberman, Charles Lowe, Tess Ann Malkinson, Ruben Markowitz, Estelle Marks, Nathan E. Miller, Jack Moskowitz, Betty Alice Mundell, Charles Pascal, Kevin Raffaelli, Rita Rose, Jay Rosoff, Vivian Schneider, Ruth Silverman, Rose Soloshatz, Jeannie Stein, Sam Einstein, Milton Mendel Strauss, Tony Van Ness, Henry Weiner, Jacob Weiss, Jerome Wint, and Louis Young. Are there any other names to add for Yahrzeit, please? Thank you. We say Zichronam Livracha, may the memories of all of these good people continue to be a blessing in their loved ones' lives as we rise to offer the words of Kaddish praise together. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'almad yivrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, v'agalav v'zman kariv imru amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mivarach le'alam u'lamei al-maya, Yitbarach v'yishabach v'yitba'ar v'yitraman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'richu la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'miran v'yalma v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who causes peace in the heavens cause peace to descend on us, Israel, and the world, as we say, Amen. To be seated, you'll find the words of the Shabbat Kiddush, blessings over the fruit of the vine, on page 5. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei b'riah gafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzav banu v'shabbat kodsho v'yava uvratzon inhilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reishi ki hu yom techilah l'mikrahi kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim kivanu b'charta v'yotanu kidasha mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha v'yava uratzon inaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. Amen. L'chaim, to life. And now for some hermetically sealed challah. Motzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer. Okay, it's my pleasure to call forward Ellen Weiss. She'll be sharing some Shabbat announcements with all of us, representing the board and leadership of our congregation. Welcome. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you for leading a beautiful service, Rabbi, as well as Allison and Joy. Thank you so much, along with our wonderful crew, tech crew in the back, Bruce Lowett and Mike Skalka. Just some brief announcements for this evening. This Sunday, January 8th at 10:30, our book club will meet in person to discuss Congressman Jamie Raskin's book, Unthinkable: Trauma, Truth, and the Trials of American Democracy. And then on Thursday that week, our Temple Sisterhood and JWI, Jewish Women International, is hosting a dessert reception on January 12th, that's Thursday, featuring new correspondent and anchor Jen Maxfield, who will share unforgettable stories found in her book, More After the Break. Please RSVP for that. On January 18th, the next day, Sisterhood will host a Mahjong event featuring Chinese food dinner in honor of this popular game's origin. And then on January 21st, we will be screening HBO's original film, The Survivor. Based on a true story, it shares the story of Harry Haft, who survived Auschwitz due to his boxing skills. Also stay tuned for Mitzvah Day on Sunday, February 12th. There'll be more information forthcoming on that, and everyone is invited. And save the date of February 27th for our annual fundraising event featuring the acclaimed six-man band 613, anchored by a strong Jewish identity. 613 will bring great energy and top-notch entertainment to our synagogue. Learn more about it in our newsletter and emails. That's our big, important fundraiser of the year, so please do join us. And please join us for the Oneg following the services. Thank you so much.
Toda rabah. Thank you so much, Ellen. Our closing song will be a song of peace, Oseh Shalom. You'll find it on 62. That's one of the places you'll find these words, as well as right on the screens. We invite you to sing along with us. Oseh Shalom Bimroma, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Let's close with a prayer for healing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al shmirat hanefesh, for the mitzvah and sacred obligation to protect our lives and our health. Thank you one and all for being here, both in the sanctuary and always thinking about those of you who are watching from at home. You might have noticed I moved the candles over just about a foot so all of you at home could see them and not look at disembodied candles with the picture in picture. Trust me, you'll see a difference if you're back home. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.